Hi, my name is Melissa Hall from LearnHowToMakeSoyCandles.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make soy votive candles. We're going to start with our supplies. What you'll need is some votive molds. I like to use the metal votive molds with the wick pins, because that way you put the wick pins in there, you pour your votive candle in, your votive wax, and then when it's cool, you can pop the votive out with the wick pin, and then you push the wick pin out, and there's a nice hole there ready for the wicks to go into. So, and then next you're going to need some wicks, and I use the P22 wicks, and I get those from candlesolutions.com. And then we're going to have our fragrance oil. I'm going to be making Winter Woodland Whisper today by Candle Cocoon. And we'll need some dye, unless you don't want your candles colored. You don't have to use a dye, but I'm going to use some green dye. And our votive soy wax blend. And it is 99% pure soy wax, but it has some natural vegetable oils in it to help it release from the molds, because 100% soy wax won't release from the molds very well because it adheres to the container. So votive wax is what you want to use to make soy votives. And then we're going to need our thermometer and a spatula, rubber spatula, to stir with, our pour pot to be able to melt the wax in, a kitchen scale. I like to use a digital scale, but any scale will do. And then a pot with water in it, about an inch and a half of water. And that's it. Okay, so first of all, we're going to turn on our scale, and then we'll set our pour pot on there and zero it out. And then we're going to do 4 votives today. So each votive is about 2 ounces of wax. So we're going to do 8 ounces of wax. So we'll pour our wax in until we get to, and actually what I do is instead of doing a whole 8 ounces of wax, I do a little bit less, about 7.5 ounces, because I'm going to be putting about 1/2 ounce of fragrance oil in. Maybe a little bit less than that, but once you put your fragrance oil in, it'll go up to 1 ounce, or go up to 8 ounces the rest of the way. So that way you don't have too much wax and have too much left over when you go to pour. And then we're going to set our pour pot with the wax in it. We're going to set it into our water. And you always need to have water surrounding your pour pot, either like this or with a double boiler. You can use a double boiler too when you're doing this on the stove, because otherwise, if it has direct contact with the heat, it can combust. So we don't want that to happen. And then I'm going to put the thermometer in. And this is a glass candy thermometer. And then I have my heat up on 4 on the burner. And now we just need to wait for the wax to melt. And the temperature that we want it to melt up to is 200 degrees. Okay, so our wax is up to about 200 degrees. So now we're going to turn on the scale, and we'll take the pour pot out, set it on the scale, and zero it out. And I'm going to stir it a little bit and wait till it gets down to about 185, which doesn't usually take very long with this amount of wax. So, because we need to pour this at 170, at 170 degrees into our votives. So make sure we have our wick pins in there. Nice. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the fragrance oil in, Winter Woodland Whispers, and we'll put about 1/2 ounce in when we get to, there we go. Okay, and we stir it really well. I'm going to turn off the burner. Alright, and then I'm going to put the dye in. I'm going to start with I'm going to start with about 4 drops. Okay. And we'll mix that in really well. Keep an eye on our temperature here. And the way that I check my color is I take some of the wax paper that I have down under my supplies and I drip a little bit of wax on there and I stick it in the refrigerator so it will cool quickly, and then we can see what color we have there. Alright, so it's already done. We have that color, which I think will do just fine. So, probably could be a little darker, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So it's about time to pour, 170 to 175 degrees. So, I'm going to go ahead and pour into our votive molds all the way up to the top. And you have to kind of do it slowly as you get to the top because we don't want it to overflow, and that can be pretty easy to do. So once you get to the top, you just kind of slowly until it gets all the way up to the flare on the top. There we go. And one more. And I have a little bit left over, but that's fine. I can melt that again and use it in a tart mold, which is smaller. So, and then you just let them sit until they're completely cooled. Probably going to take a couple of hours to cool completely. So, and then once they're completely cooled, they will pop out easily. So if you try to pop them out and they're not coming out, then they probably need to sit a little bit longer to cool. And then once they're cool, you can pop them out, push the wick pin out, and stick your wicks in. So our votives are ready to be popped out of their molds. So I'm just going to take this and it pops right out. And then I'm going to tip it upside down and push it onto the counter to push the wick pin out. And now we have a nice hole to slide our wick through. And then we need to trim the wick to 1/4 inch. I have a nice wick trimmer here that automatically trims it to the right length. And it's ready to go. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you enjoyed it, you can go ahead and click like down below, and you can visit me at www.learnhowtomakesoycandles.com.